Hovens, who will give you our final thoughts. Thank you.
Ouch. This is a recent picture from an ancient ceremony, namely called the worship of the sun. And it's a ceremony that was held and is still held by Native Americans or Native Canadians. And it is a sort of a ceremony, a rite of passage, where people go from one phase in life to another phase in life. Now, the way that Native Americans and Native Canadians do this is by taking young people just like you, having them go into a sweat lodge, which is sort of like a modern-day sauna. They sing with each other and they smoke a lot of herbs. At some point, they're ready for the ceremony, and then the elders of the tribe take them and they actually pierce their chests, put ropes on it, and then they have to face the sun for several hours, sing and dance, and then eventually they collapse and they get a vision of what the future will be for them. Now I have to admit that at one point our management and our dean, Ms. Osinga, and director Will Gooskens were thinking of also introducing the sun ceremony here at our school. But fortunately our legal department stepped in and said, well, you cannot force students to do piercings and all that. So we decided not to do this. But still, your ceremony is important. And also one of the reasons why I picked this picture is my own university, is Cornell University back in Ithaca, New York, United States, was actually built on the holy ground of the Iroquois. The Iroquois, or in French, Iroquois, is a nation of various tribes of Native Americans that used to live, well, there's still a few today, but they used to live in what is currently New York State and Pennsylvania. And for some interesting reason, they actually had a holy place in Ithaca, New York, where only medicine men and medicine women were allowed to be. Nobody else. And for some very curious reason, in the 19th century, Ezra Cornell then started a university there. Now, going a little bit closer home, as you may have noticed, we are close to the Mastbos here. And a few months ago, I had a walk in our forest, and I noticed that a new tree was planted for the new king of the Netherlands. And I read about the symbolism of it, and I said, wow, this is actually a very nice tradition to do so. And then I also realized how important this location, also bridging two nations, the nation where I live and the nation where the majority of you lives, is here. So we are also here at the SIB on very holy ground, and we believe that each time our students graduate, these students add more and more spirit to our place. But as we are famous with reflection, let's go back to the very, very beginning when you entered our university. So the first time we looked at you like this. This is actually an echo of my own baby girl. She's now 11 weeks. But we looked at you like this and we didn't know who you were. We had some feelings, some imaginations. Well, will they make it at our school or not? Will we have to say goodbye in the first year, or will they stick it through? Well, you stuck through. And then I took this picture at an extremely stressful place on earth, namely Matala in the Isle of Crete. But good morning, let the stress begin, because that was how the first weeks were you at facility management. You came from high school, most of you a regular high school, and suddenly you're thrown into an all-English education. And we give you bizarre things like problem-based learning, where you sit together and you have to read and discuss, and then eventually you create knowledge. Not only that, we also give you a coach, and many of you didn't know what to do with this coach. You also get exams, and then on top of this, you have something called competency-based learning. So you have to prove that there's these 10 things that you match, and there's different levels. All of this took a lot of adjustment. And I remember a few years ago, I was also a tutor in the first year. And I remember that after 6 weeks, you could know, okay, who will stick through this school, or for whom is the stress too big, or maybe they want to do something else. Here my girl is 3 days old. And I kind of enjoyed the look of enthusiasm and curiosity, and that reminds me of you in the first year. When you're attending my lectures or the lectures of my colleagues, all of you came with eagerness, willing to learn, willing to get some new things out of it, and we truly enjoyed that time. But then we entered into the second year. That's also the same girl. In the second year, I noticed, or we noticed, actually a slight drop in attention. I remember in my courses of MNO, Management and Organization, Mr. Van Leeuwen and me were glad that 70% of you showed up. And some of our colleagues, let's say the maybe differently gifted, were happy that half of you would show up in class. Now, you know we're a serious education, so we said we have to do something about this. And we decided to spice up your life. And how did we do this? Well, by creating team-based projects. Team-based projects that were rather bizarre. You had a project for MNO. You had a project for IMA, which maybe some of you know in Hebrew means mother, but here it means Imagineering. You had to do an event. You were in operations, and you also had to study for exams. And oh yes, by the way, you have to do some competencies. What often happened, and we see it every year, is that you went berserk. You were getting stressed. It was all too much for you. And I even remember back on the 10th of December, just a while ago, that I saw students who hadn't slept for several days and they were worried, and they said, Mr. Rubens, I still don't understand what I have to do for MNO. And although I would show them a lot of sympathy and care, insidely I was laughing and saying, yes, again we get them. Because we want you to go through this stress, not because we're a bunch of sadists, but especially because real life in facility management is also stressful. You will also have projects where the manager with a big smile says, go and do this, but you know that the manager has no clue, just like you. And what you have to do then, and these are things you have learned at this school, you have learned to organize your time. You have learned to deal with stress. You have learned to work in a team and sometimes tell a team member, listen, we need you. We want to get a 7 or an 8 or why not a 9 or a 10 on this project. So we all need to pull together. So this is what you learned in the second year. This is a picture of actually a, my voice is going, is back, okay. Of a monk where they measure the brain waves. Now, we didn't do this with you yet, but one thing we did was continuously measure you. We have a sort of a, I would call monitoring and measurement obsession at the school. Exams, resits, feedback, feedback on feedback, SMART goals, stars, awards, and then you have this very interesting or annoying go, no go. This may have seemed to you as a lot of measurement, a lot of monitoring, but don't worry, in the real world of facility management, it's just the same. You will be monitored and evaluated all the time also, and again, thank God you learn to deal with this here at our education. Bang in the kisser. Now I'm going to make a small advertising for one of my countries and towns painters, so you also know where I'm from. This painter is Sam Dillemans. He lives in Antwerpen, wonderful city south of here, and he's now actually getting quite famous, sort of world fame. A painting like this one nowadays goes for about 10,000 euros, so it's quite an interesting price. But why did I take this picture? Why did I take this picture? Well, because of my next question. Who of you honestly failed something in this school at least once? Please raise your hand. It can be an exam, an assessment, a project, a mini little thingy, whatever. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you. Okay, just a bit nasty, but who of you failed at least 2 things? Yeah, okay, I see people in the back. Thank you. Good. Now, very good. Very, very good. And the reason this is so good is that research by, for example, the late Professor Chris Argyris of Harvard Business School and MIT, he did research on people failing, and he found out that when you're able to fail early in life, which actually is quite normal and happens to all of us, and you are able to deal with this, you will grow up to be a mature human being, which all of you are. If, however, you happen to be one of those wonder childs who never fails, then you will go work for an important company like an important bank or McKinsey Consulting or Boston Consulting. And what did Chris Argyris find out? That those people actually, maybe in their 30s or 40s, when they start to fail for the first time, they cannot handle it. So they will cheat. They will do bizarre things with their consulting contracts. But this will not happen to you because all of you in this room, including myself and some of my colleagues, have learned the art of graceful failing. Well, some of you may have been knocked down at some point in time. It's very possible that at some point you said, I want to stop this education. I've been on assessment 3 for the 3rd time, enough of these things. I'm tired of having to talk to an evaluator all the time, so I'm going to start my own business. Or I'm going to continue my modeling career. Or I'm going to do whatever I want to do, but I'm not going to continue facility management. But luckily for us and luckily for you, you stood up and are here today. This is a picture that I took when I was at the airport of Valencia in Spain, and I just wonder who of you speaks Spanish? Please raise your hand. Yes? Okay, I see somebody here. Could you please tell us what is on the slide? If you want, I'll say it in Spanish, so it's La risa les hace fuertes. What does it mean? Fuerte is strong, right? Risa, laughter, rire from French. Well, anyways, la risa les hace fuertes. Laughter makes them strong. And that is something that we have also learned from you, facility management students. You were able to laugh at yourselves. You were able, maybe a bit less than hotel management students, but anyways, there is a difference. But you were able to laugh at yourselves and pick yourselves up and go forward. Ta-da! The symbol of both my country and maybe also facility management. Facility management catering means tasty food, but not too expensive. And we offer service with a smile. And what you have also learned, you are facility management students, but lucky for you and lucky for us, we are in a hospitality management atmosphere and building. You were able to work together with hotel management students, sometimes ordering them when you were their managers, or sometimes being ordered by them. But because of this great environment, you also knew what it was to create an amazing atmosphere and to enjoy great drinks. For those who are curious about the work, and again, advertising, this is 19th century Antwerp painter Gerard Portilje. And I am staying in Antwerpen. Why not? Many people from this area actually spend their weekends back in Antwerpen. And this is Adriaan de Brakeleer, also 19th century Antwerp painter. And for all of you, most of you probably know the Groenplaats, the place to avoid in Antwerp, but the Groenplaats you know. And then if you go a little bit to the east of it, you would actually end up in the boulevards, and that was where this gambling session was done. And again, thanks to your education here, thanks to joining KAG, thanks to your events, you were able to create an experience and also will be able to do so in your future career. I love Facebook, and not only because I can check out what my friends or what some of my students are doing, but one day I came across this slide, and for me, this really symbolizes what we have been doing together the last years. Remember transfer in the good old CTR? Yeah. We gave you, and you gave us, theories, models, practical experience, teamwork, and thanks to that, you were able to bridge difficulties. You were able to go along your path from year 1, 2, 3, 4, and now entering your profession, and you were able to do this together, and we believe we also had some role to play in this. Well, okay. This is not a graduation hat from Tilburg University where I graduated, but this I bought on the island of Crete, and it's actually a hat that people wear for special ceremonies. So it is a special ceremony today, and that's why I don't mind looking silly and I wear this. And now I want to address especially all of you graduates. Graduates, from this moment onwards, you are experts in facility management. This means that the next time you see your boss, your colleague, your father, your mother, a friend going on a computer to find out information on facility management, I would like you to look at them straight into the eyes and say the following to them. Fudge Google, ask me.